messing around with another man's wife. But other than that, we ain't nothing, just good old boys. Threw my boss out the window and got
Hey, good morning.
Good morning to you, brother.
How are you today?
I am so thrilled to be back in the South Texas TV studio here at the mothership, the 50,000-watt Tower of Power, Magic 95.9 FM. Thrilled to be back.
Me too.
Thrilled to be back. I'm sure that my expression belies my enthusiasm because I'm exhausted. I have to get back to work in order to get some rest. But I am thrilled to be back in South Texas and welcome all of our viewers on South Texas TV.
H.R. Mallory checking in. Junior Samples, good morning.
Good morning, Junior.
Wade and Carter weather brought to you by the fine folks at AT Deerland Hay and Feed Store.
Did you see where Junior Samples pirated part of our hour?
I did.
I want you to
We'll
know
get
that,
to that
in no way do we endorse that, support that, recommend that, accept that. We don't even accept that. Junior somehow got here. He managed to do a Junior thing, locked himself out of the studio. He was going to work during Bill Posey's hour, and then his incompetence led him over into our hour, and we just wanted to clarify that while Junior's always available and sometimes welcome, we in no way endorsed or supported him actually making that move into the gospel hour known as Wade and Carter. Now, I don't know if Ash just went off on another junket. I don't know where he is, but the weather is brought to you by the great folks at AT Deerland Feed, and I don't mind sharing with you, it's hot. It's not Africa hot, but it's hot. So we're trying to figure out exactly, I don't know what's happening with my weather.
I'll find it.
Here we go. Right now in Victoria, it's 80 degrees. We're heading to a high today of 101, Ash.
Yeah.
But
It'll be fun.
every day this week, literally every day this week, the lowest percentage chance of rain is 50%. The average day is 78 to 100 for the week.
Yeah. They're calling for heat indices because multiple plural.
Yes.
Like 115 all week.
Yeah. So really,
Stay indoors, folks.
with no humor, stay indoors. Remember your pets.
Yeah.
Remember your pets. Remember, of course, all of our rural folks know their farm animals.
I got to thinking about this over the weekend. Oh, they've still got chicks at AT Deerland Feed, and anything you need to help your animals beat the heat. If you need more stock tanks, if you need water feed troughs, you got to get them more food.
You continue to think on the weekend.
I do continue to think.
Random thoughts?
When did it become normal for the government to warn us about summer and winter weather?
When the government decided that we are too stupid to do anything on our own, which was probably during
The Clinton administration?
Yeah, it could be. I was going to say Bush.
Probably
W's administration.
Probably W.
You're too stupid to do anything
After
on your
9/11,
own.
I'm thinking.
Yeah, after 9/11, we are here to protect you.
But I remember growing up, but they never warned you about cold. Just told you how cold it was going to
If
be.
it's
They never
cold-
told you it was going to be really
Hello,
cold.
Bill Posey.
Hour in here, and it's like a sweatshop in here.
You know, I
Except
mentioned
we're not as productive.
Bill Posey to a guy on the shuttle. For those of you that don't know, I was out of town. Some of you may not care. The weeks go by so quickly you don't even notice. I was gone for a week. Come on, people. I get on the little shuttle back over to my car after our trip, and there's a guy on there, and you know, I can't help myself. Hey, where are you coming from? Oh, I had to be up in, I don't know, Florida. Orlando, that's where he was. Something Canaveral. Cape Canaveral.
Cape Canaveral?
And so you work with NASA? And he goes, yeah, I do. I said, really? I said, well, it's not rocket science. You know? He goes, well, yeah, it kind of is. And we started talking. He is an engineer working on the project. He goes, well, I said, what do you guys have going? What do we expect from NASA? Well, we're going back to the moon. I go, really? I said, I'm just curious. I said, aside from the achievement of it and all the engineering marvels that are gleaned from getting there, why would we go back to the moon? Well, we want to establish a permanent base there, a facility there. He goes, there are some strategic implications to having a base on the moon. Okay. You know,
Yeah.
all right. And he said,
'Cause we haven't screwed this planet up enough. We might as well screw up another orbiting body in the
Right?
solar system.
and we also believe there are some very precious minerals there in abundance, where if you could bring back 1,000 pounds of them, they seem to believe that you hear about cold fusion and the ability to make like almost effortless
What are
electrical
we
power.
saying? The moon is nuclear?
And what he told me was, wouldn't that be something if you got there and the Geiger went, but this fusion
That's why
power
it glows. It's nuclear radiation.
fusion power is like the holy grail of electric production, and it's almost perpetual. It's like my buddy Mike Katara, that's an engineer, just says it's something we've chased forever, but it's like the holy grail.
I can't wait till we get it.
Right,
It's
coming.
small enough, to power vehicles.
Yeah, but he said that they believe
Take it with
the
you.
moon
Just pull
has
it out of
that.
one vehicle, throw it in the other.
And I said, so is part of it also the ability to go from here to there and build a base? Is that part of our quest to be on Mars? And he goes, absolutely.
So at some point, when we look up at the moon, is it going to look like somebody took a bite out of it because
Yeah,
they've
it'll say "Eat it, Joe's."
dug
or
the crap out of it? And
you'll have like a Landry's
Yeah.
restaurant up there, Prada
what a-
Moon.
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. to be
Very
honest.
interesting. You would think that, I don't know.
Where are the environmentalists because if anybody would be against going to the moon because of our ability to screw this planet up, if you listen to the environmentalists, why would they not be opposed to us going to the moon?
Well, you would think that they would be extremely anxious about anything that could disrupt the natural state of the moon.
That's what I'm saying.
Don't take anything, don't leave anything.
And they're not saying a word about us going back to the
It's
moon.
more
They don't
like
care.
a state park. You just don't touch anything.
Find a rock, don't take it with you. Leave it there.
Very interesting. What did Junior say? I called Junior out a little bit for treading
He
on
had
our
permission
time.
from the highest power to slide in at that time slot. Otherwise, it would have not happened. No ill intent intended.
Yeah.
And he says, I'm just glad Brent is wearing a shirt.
That's
H.R.
yes.
Mallory said,
Yes,
hey,
thank
your mom was paying for the airtime. Someone might as well use
True
it.
story. My mom loves Junior, so that's okay. It all works
Yeah,
out.
no. Bobby Leister, good morning. John Paul Hull checking in. Will Vincent says, we're glad you're back, and he's on vacation. You enjoy your vacation, Will.
Hey, good for you, Will.
Thanks for getting up on your vacation day and listening to us. We
Will's
appreciate it.
upset because it's hockey season
Hockey
is
season's
over.
Yeah, he is upset. Matt Boucher, good morning. Lisa Poole, Kendra Douglas, Stephen Kidder, Carrie Bump, Linda Christ, good morning.
Hello, ladies.
So, lots happened
Hi, Scotty.
while we were gone. Scott Tomko, good morning. Yesterday, a very, very little known golfer outside of maybe his own family.
Wyndham
Wyndham
Clark,
wins the US
29-year-old.
Open. Clayton Helt, good morning.
Hey, Clayton.
I think he won one time on the tour. That was it.
A Wells Fargo tournament this year, which I guess
Probably got him into
got
the
him
U.S.
into the U.S.
Open.
Open, and he goes out. I had read several people said that he was mentally ready to win. You got to figure that
Ricky
getting-
Fowler wasn't.
and Rory McIlroy. Apparently, Rory hit the ball beautifully all week, but just could not putt.
Yeah, that's
And when
but drive for show, putt for dough. Isn't
right,
that the old
it
saying?
is a putting contest, and this Wyndham Clark kid, 29 years old. You'll be hearing more about him. This may be what shoots him into the limelight.
Maybe so.
But these guys are so ridiculously long and strong. There was a par 3. Sounds incredible to say. It plays 249 yards. For the pros, it's a par 3.
For me, that's my average drive.
And McIlroy hits a
I'm hitting
4-iron.
driver.
4-iron. It was elevated downhill, and that but he hits a 4-iron to the 249-yard par 3. It's just ridiculous. And then, of course, 2-putted.
Of course.
Right.
Yeah. Apparently, crowds were sparse because a lot of the L.A. Country Club I'll say this: the U.S. Open will not return to the L.A. Country Club
Ever in your lifetime. And, I fairly much, at least more than casually, follow professional golf. I see who wins the tournaments, and and who's an up-and-comer and who's playing well. I was very surprised to see Ricky Fowler lead at the 18, 36, and 54-hole mark. I was not surprised to see him fold up yesterday. But at the end of the tournament, to see a kid named Wyndham Clark that I've never heard of.
It's a golf name if there ever
I
was
would have
one.
thought
Wasn't
he
there?
was British. Honestly, he's American. And this kid has made $11.5 million on the tour. There's no way he's been out there more than 4 years. No way.
So he's not.
He's not a pauper.
He's not terrible.
And
Made a
yesterday
pretty
he
good
makes
living.
3.6 milli.
Yeah.
Second place
Makes
is
a
2.1.
quarter of his career earnings
Yeah,
in one day.
And he'll make $5 million in
Yeah,
endorsements
he'll
off
probably get
that.
some endorsements and stuff. But Darren Volachek checking in, Clayton Helt, Judge Posey.
Hi,
But
Judge.
here's why I
Darren.
won't return. Apparently, LA Country Club members bought up a lot of the tickets. Crowds were reportedly very sparse, not as robust as they have been at past U.S. Opens, because they didn't want people trampling over their golf course.
Yeah, it's been the first time in 65 years that Tour's been back there, and they make a big deal out of their golf course.
And they won't
Which,
be
by the
back
way,
there, and it'll be another 65 years before they're back there.
It may be a tremendous golf club. It wasn't anything great to me.
10 under wins the U.S. Open. When's the last time 10 under won the U.S. Open? I don't know. It seemed
Been
like it was
on-
playing
since
easy.
Tiger. Probably Tiger had to do it sometime.
Justin Glass, good morning. H.R. Mallory, going back to the moon, says won't be open for business until there's a check-cashing Dollar Tree and Mattress store across the street from another check-cashing place, Dollar General and Mattress Store, separated by a median.
Speaking of that, you want to talk about your man Fetterman and his bridge problem and
Well,
where's Pete Buttigieg?
Yeah, because, more and more of this stuff's going on, and you look at what happened over the first question, and nobody's really asking this question. Where's the infrastructure money that we were told when they spent how many trillions or committed how many trillions to infrastructure that our bridges weren't going to collapse, we're going to make America's roadways safer, our infrastructure was going to be safer. We had a huge derailment in Ohio. President still hasn't gone to East Palestine. They changed the pronunciation
which
of
I
that
hear
name,
is
by
going to
the
be
way.
it's going to be like a ghost town.
They've never changed. He's never been there, but he wastes no time getting to Philadelphia, where the scene of a I-95 collapse.
Yes,
Anybody suspicious that this truck just caught fire underneath the bridge? I mean, does that not sound weird to most people?
Well, it's very 9/11ish. I could give the government a little bit of a pass. Bridges are inspected. We have bridges in our own county that people have said, "Hey, you need to do something with that bridge. It's not in great shape." But we're aware of
It's not
them.
on an interstate.
We're aware of them. But this is an interstate bridge. This is key integral transportation byway for the passage of America's goods and services. I-95. For a bridge to collapse, I'm just saying, can you imagine being on I-10, crossing the Guadalupe over by Lake McQueeney, going to San Antonio, and all of a sudden the bridge just collapses? Unacceptable. I mean, you would think that with this infrastructure money, which I want to say was in the hundreds of, I think it was trillions.
Trillions. It was
Trillions
like
of dollars.
1.4, 1.5 trillion, I think, if I
You
recall
can't.
correctly.
You want to hire 87,000 IRS workers? Can you not hire 500 interstate bridge inspectors and let's shore up our interstate system?
And you would think you'd start in the cities,
Yeah,
where it's more
trillions of
crucial
dollars.
than somewhere over the plains of Iowa.
No doubt.
So anyway,
Did you
Your
have the other
president-
comment of your
No.
guy Fetterman?
oh yeah, what's his? I don't even know what is this? Kevin Fetterman,
I don't know. The
senator from
guy with the
Junior
stroke
sen-
that
yeah.
wears sweats. He's wearing a hoodie.
yeah.
Everybody on the dais is in a coat and tie, and this bonehead. I guess if you have a stroke, you can't wear a sports coat.
No.
I don't get it. He's a tart. He shows up out there in a sweater.
John
with
Fetterman, that's it.
John Fetterman, complete buffoon. So I'd rather have John Cornyn than John Fetterman, and that's how bad he is.
Listen to this as they come together to discuss the response to what happened in
Bless his heart.
Philly last week.
What are we doing? It's not your fault. I'm not saying it's your
That
fault.
probably is.
He is here to commit to work with the governor.
I'll start this again.
And now I'm standing next to the president again, next to a collapsed bridge here. And he is here
That's
to
Joe
commit
Biden.
to work with the governor and the delegation to make sure that we get this fixed quick.
The
fast as
delegation.
well, too. This is a president that is committed to infrastructure.
Infrastructure.
Yeah, and then on top of that, the dual kind of law of the inflation bill
Listen
that
to
is
this
going to make
guy.
sure that there's going to be bridges all across like this, all across America getting rebuilt.
This guy is a buffoon. I don't care if he had a stroke. Don't act like I'm being mean to the incapacitated. Incapacitation is running our country. It's ridiculous. The guy can't speak. I'm here.
And-
We're talking about infrastructure and the infracus.
Get it fixed quick and,
And
fast
fast.
as well, too.
This guy is he wasn't much better before the stroke, okay? I'm
No,
just
not
saying.
really.
Unbelievable.
The problem is his wife, I think, is the one that has all the political aspirations, and she's unelectable.
Yeah, no,
But-
they wanted her to take his seat.
Yeah.
The Dems did. Like, when,
Yeah.
oh, he's sick. And when did that become a thing? Oh, he's sick. We'll let his wife take the seat.
Well, because the rules are probably the governor picks whoever replaces the senator if they die or leave office, right?
That's crazy talk. I just
But-
couldn't believe it.
But no, I mean, and that's just, I mean, and the whole thing was a soundbite.
And then Biden gets up and says, "Well, I've got to do this because if I didn't, I'd be sleeping alone."
Yeah.
And then he's like leaning, and then he goes,
He thought it was funny.
And I'll tell you what I mean by that. My wife's from Philly. I mean, you're not funny, Joe. People, I mean, the bridge collapsed on your watch after you appropriated trillions of dollars. Unbelievable.
To prevent said bridges from collapsing when you tried to sell the infrastructure package to the American people.
I will tell you that while I was in Mexico, we're going to take a break here in a second. While I was in Mexico, I just took kind of a poll from Uber drivers to bartenders to people on the street. You know, I've told you before, 6 o'clock in the morning, Dawn and I are up, walking around, looking around. People have got the water and the Fabuloso. They're in front of their shops. They're using
Always
a
purple
broom.
Fabuloso, too.
Everybody's cleaning. Everybody's working. And I thought, you know what? If I could get my team, especially my Rockport team, to work half as hard in air conditioning for 50 times the money that a 15-year-old kid works like a slave in Cabo, when a 15-year-old boy that hustles sea-doos all day tells you, go back and elect Donald Trump because our country is floundering under Joe Biden. The kid wants to come to the States to go to college. He's working his fanny off at 15, and he said, Joe Biden is killing us. Killing us.
Yeah.
And I thought, man, you're right on top of the world here, kid.
Roy Gutierrez, good morning. Alejandro Alvarez checking in. Junior Sample says his wife is a trash panda as well. You know what's interesting, too, real quick before we take our first break, because this was part of the narrative that Donald Trump was racist towards Mexican Americans or Mexicans. Remember that?
Not even close.
You look at who's streaming across our southern border.
It ain't Mexicans.
They're pulling them
Hondurans.
up from Central America, South
Guatemalans.
America, 160 different countries. A lot more military-aged Chinese now coming through our southern border. I caught wind and read an account of a Chinese national who came to this country. First off, he had connections to get to Cuba. He then bought a boat in Cuba, trying to get from Cuba to Florida. Ran out of gas. Our Coast Guard picked him up, realized that he's trying to get here illegally, shipped him back to China. The guy ended up going through the Darien Gap, which I think is in Panama. Very dangerous place. quite a high death toll there, but there's now
the
such a
Darien
beaten.
Gap is a like an Amazon rainforest
Yeah.
type thing. It's a hugely
But there's now
lots of
basically a
pirates and stuff.
pretty well-worn trail through there.
Yeah.
So it's not as treacherous as it once was. You're not having to carve your own way through there. You still got things to deal with.
Bad people.
Venomous snakes, bad people, insects that'll kill you, all sorts of interesting things. But they've made it easier. Women, except for women and children, who they continue to rape as they go through there, and a lot of them, and kill.
Yeah.
And enslave. Yeah, it's terrible.
It's like
But this-
Detroit.
But this guy was able to get back to China, then back and into this country by going to Central America through the Darien Gap and using coyotes instead.
Folks, Allen's Wrecker Service, 578-6300. Allen is your go-to tow-to. Reach out to Allen for all your towing needs. Allen's Wrecker Service. The VCS companies power the Wade and Carter program through the use of the only locally owned and authorized AT&T retailer right there on Kerr Boulevard, just inside the loop off of Main Street. For all your communication needs, only and always call the VCS companies.
Chesnick Furniture Company. They
Over
also
100
help
years.
the Wade and Carter show. This
Good.
Our studio table.
Solid
is-
wood furniture,
yeah,
these beautiful stools. Chesnick Furniture Company, 116 West Juan Lynn, the corner of Juan Lynn and Bridge. Get by there today. Tell Bobby Leon that Wade and Carter sent you. Everybody you call, when you call them, please do. Please tell them, hey, man, Wade and Carter mentioned you, and that's why I'm
Probably
calling
update
you.
that, right? 105 years in business now.
I would say we
Pretty
keep
close.
adding to it, but I like it. Veracruz, quite simply the best Mexican food
Back
in town.
open
Back
today?
open today. Reach out to Veracruz. By the way, Veracruz does lots and lots of very reasonably priced turnkey catering.
Yeah.
You have a big event, you're like, man, I wish I had fajitas for 50. Give them a call. It ain't $12.50 a plate. It ain't like buying it. There's a difference between buying barbecue and buying Mexican food. Give them a call. They're really good. And then the Gray Barn. I guess Gray Barn Mercantile has been open now a couple of weeks.
Weeks doing well.
920-6803. Reach out to Cheryl.
Her fresh flower arrangements are picking up steam. So if you're looking for unique flower arrangements that you won't get anywhere else in town, and you certainly won't get when you log on or call FTD.
And she's right there at the corner of Airline and Laurent. There's no infrastructure issues there. Just give her a call. It's not that hard. It's just not that hard.
Well,
Infrastructure.
but it is when you've had a stroke. And again, not stroke shaming, but there's no way John Fetterman has the mental capacity to be a sitting U.S. senator.
I don't know. He could point to John Cornyn and go, my record's as good as his.
Well,
We vote the same.
Probably so. Michelle Wilson Hawkins checking in.
I'll take an unpopular position right here because it's what keeps you people listening. I'm really down on this Juneteenth holiday. I'm going to give you some
I'm not. I
perspective.
don't mind the day off.
Oh, you don't mind the day off because first of all, you're a communist, Canadian. Second thing is, that's redundant. You're a communist Canadian. That's at best you're a socialist. I don't understand how you tell me if you are, and I'm
I don't understand how a day that is important to the history of Texas became a national holiday. That I can.
No, isn't Juneteenth the day that Lincoln signed the Emancipation
No,
Proclamation?
it was the day. No, that was 2 years earlier. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. Dottie Bitterly checking in. My understanding is this Juneteenth is the day Texas found out that Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation and ended slavery. Two years after the
maybe
fact.
it's the holiday to celebrate. That's the end of slavery finally ended in our country. But here's the problem I have, and I've this is the first time it's been mentioned on the air. This is the first time in June that the phrase Pride Month has been mentioned on this program, and that's all I'm going to say about it. I am proud. I'm proud to be American. I'm proud to be employed. I'm proud to be a Christian. I'm proud to be married. I'm proud to be faithful. I'm proud to be loyal, trustworthy. I'm proud to be employed and to want to be employed. And I'm proud to be white. Every day, you can't shame me for being white. Doesn't make me better than you. It just makes me who I am. But, and, is that what you wanted on me? You
Well, this is your rant. Go.
I'm not really even ranting, but I can tell you that as an American, and certainly as a white American, which last time I checked was still the majority of this country in one form or another, how do you take away, TLAP, my wife works for an arm of the government, indirectly, but she works for the FAA. How do you take away a traditional American holiday, a traditional day of rest in the form of Good Friday? I get it, religious implications, separation of church and state. You take away Good Friday from America's hardworking families, but you give them back Juneteenth. I don't understand. I mean, what is next? We're going to take away July 4th, Independence Day, because we're not really going to be proud of being a sovereign, independent nation, and we're going to give you back NATO week. I mean, what's next? The dumbing down, the slow, methodical degeneration of the traditions and mores that built this country are not being eroded, they're being replaced. And I'm telling you, white lives don't matter. You might as well get you a t-shirt. And Christian lives don't matter. And if you're white and Christian, you're the enemy. Know it. And they're out to get you systematically. Oh, Good Friday. There's no reason to take that off for the most sacred religious holiday in Christendom. There's no reason to take that day off. Fine, I went to work. Good, when my office was closed. All the insurance companies, and they're the devil themselves, all the insurance companies were closed. But now, your tax dollars